Hey YouTube, happy Monday. Not my favourite band. Actually saw them live, they were awful. Yeah, so this is my pal T-Gun Music's Schecter. Oh god, I can't remember. Hellraiser. This did have EMG 89 and EMG 81 active pickups in it. And if I'm pretty clever and I remember, I'll put the link up to the video there when I had this some point a year ago, maybe something like that, when I set it up and I put it in a funny tuning. I think I set it up for, it's got really fat strings on it. I think it was like drop C or something like that. So that it's been put up now. Now it's just in D standard, which is basically just like if you put a cap on the second fret, it's normal tuning. So everything's just down a whole 2 frets. And now it's got Fluence pickups in it. Which was fun to mod up. I've put all this, left all the other stuff in the box so you can sell the EMGs if you like these better. There's a heck of a lot of options with the Fluence pickups. Like assuming you've already bought them, it's like see the number of things. Basically, what I've done is that they've got 2 voices on them each. Pickups, like I don't know, it's sort of like it's kind of not entirely unlike a coil split, a bit more into it than that, but so basically what I've done here is I've just got, there's only 3 knobs in this guitar, so we've got this one, I've done it per request as ESP style. So this is the bridge volume, this is the neck volume, and there's a master tone. If you pull up the bridge volume, it changes the voice from sort of heavy metal to a sort of vintagey type thing on the bridge pickup, and then if you do it with the neck pickup, it changes the neck pickup. But also the number, I try to work out how many options there were. So you had the voice thing, right? So that's 2 options just per pickup. There's also a HF tilt option, which is the way that the diagram I followed had that on it. So I had like when I first wired it up, I had the voice thing converting both the pickups, and the HF tilt didn't really seem to do very much. Like a very subtle thing, something like a high frequency dampening sort of thing. It might make a big difference if you're using like tons of gain or something like that, but for me it didn't really do anything. So I swapped it around, so it just basically you've got a voice for each pickup, so you can have like the vintage one in the neck and the metal one in the bridge sort of thing. So that's so you get an HF tilt for each one. So already we're at the possibility of having 4 switches. So you've got for each pickup you've got the HF tilt and you've got the voice thing. Also there is another wire that you can, a wee tab thing you can connect on, which gives you a low gain mode. Incidentally, if you go into the bottom of this, Ian, there's another wee clip connector and a wire to do that. So I just, rather than losing it, it's just sitting. I just kind of coiled them up and stuck them in the cavity. They're not going to short anything out. They're just sitting in there. If you wonder why, if you ever go in it and you go, why are these wires not doing anything? It was in case you ever wanted to put on the low gain mode. Just so they didn't get lost. I imagine it'd probably be a nightmare to find them. So that's each pickup has a voice 1, voice 2, a voice switch, the HF tilt switch, and the low gain mode, whatever that was. I didn't even connect it up. Also, there's a connection in the back of the pickup for a coil split. So there's 4 possible switches per pickup. So you could have 8 switches. Just to operate the pickups, and that's not including putting in parallel and series. Or so I mean, if you want a mad switchocaster and you've got like I put 10 switches in a flying V once because it's got the big. So you could have, if you had like a flying V and you put these in, you could have just like, because it's got a big wing, you can just have like a line of switches or 2 lines of 4 switches. Yeah, so enough jibber jabber. Here we go. Oh, I know what I've not done. Because this is active pickups, I remember doing this before. If I put them into the low input in the amp, it seemed to work better. It doesn't seem to overload the amp the same way. It's what it's for, the low input. So this is the bridge pickup in. See, it's now going to start confusing me having the things the wrong way around, so I might be turning the wrong knob at some points. It's kind of, because it's got the big strings on it, it's kind of almost like a baritone guitar, this one. And then voice 2, which is a vintage one. Got a difference in there. pickup, main voice. Definitely, definitely got a baritone thing going on. And then voice 2. See, I mean, it's kind of, it's not a coil split because it's got a coil split option on it as well, which isn't connected up. It's more than that, but it's a kind of, so it's still humbucking, but it's a more vintagey, more single coily sound than the full-on metal mode. It's not called full-on metal mode, that's just what I'm calling it, because I see this guitar and I think, oh, down-tuned Limp Bizkit, which I can't play. But also I don't have the right sort of pedals for this kind of thing. I'm playing through my wee Lady VC15, the wee valve amp, through that speaker cabinet. I've got no pedals on just now, but I don't really play your sort of down-tuney, ruggy-duggy stuff. So, not really what this guitar's for, but it'll still work as a normal guitar. Or both pickups on. So both pickups on vintage mode. A good place for a wee backing track in it. So we're in D. Doesn't make any difference because if you tune it down to D, I'm just going to play everything the same anyway. So. Voice. Bridge in vintage mode. Like I said, that's not what the two voices are called, I'm just calling them that. And then heavy metal. See, what's happened there is switching on to the low input on the amp, because this guitar is pure driving it because it's active. It's meant that the pedals I'm using just now are all set up for just playing a normal, like a passive guitar. So they're kind of, instead of increasing the volume like they do when I'm normally using it, they're actually decreasing it. So it's kind of, I'll have to turn the volume up a little bit to compensate. Or I'll do it on a couple of pedals. So, yeah, so that's why I was doing that. Actually, I turn the overall volume down a little bit. Then vintage modes on the bridge pickup. Then I'm heavy metal. Neck. Got it? Something's very out of tune. Sorry, hold on. Because I had the strings off, I didn't stretch them in properly. Maybe it's just my brain is saying, this is not the chords you're playing. I just use standard tuning, so everything's down one. So E is there. The song's not in E. And then vintage mode. Sounding kind of weird to me. I think it's just my brain is saying you're playing in D. You're playing, the notes you're playing aren't the ones you're hearing. Or maybe it's the fact that it's got quite heavy strings on it. The strings are actually harder to bend. Just to show you the tone control works. Never use the things. Yeah, so if you're going to be putting in active pickups, I kind of knew this before, but just in the last couple of weeks I seem to be doing lots of active things. Yeah, you need different pots. You can't use normal pots. You can get away with a normal pot like a 250k or a 500k for the volume control. It will still work. It's just that instead of going from 10 to 0 all the way around, it kind of, by the time you get to 8, it's at 0, so it's kind of like, you just turn it down a wee bit and it's completely off. But it will work. The tone control doesn't work at all if you use a normal pot, so you need 25k alpha pots. You don't need beta pots for the volume in this one. So it's just 25k alpha. Definitely something not right. Yeah, so this actually has locking tuners on it, so it just goes to show that locking tuners don't stop you going out of tune. Stretching the strings in, not stretching the strings in properly, makes it go out of tune, which is what's happening here. But I think this guitar has had the cardinal sin on it, which I've talked about before. The worst thing you can do with strings is put new strings on it and then not stretch the strings in and then not play it for some time. So I think that's probably what's happened. I've put strings on this 6 months ago or something like that, and he's probably not played it enough. So the strings are kind of still unstretched, but now they're 6 months old, or however many months it was. Yeah, so I can see what the fuss is about the Fluence. They do look pretty cool. They're not the ones I was thinking of when he first said he wanted to be a fit Fluence pickups. I sent him a picture of there's a baddie in Blake 7, sci-fi show, who's got like a sort of visor thing that looks very much like the alum tone, whatever those pickups are. They might actually even be Fishman. They're kind of like a metal thing. They're not pickup shaped. They're a really bizarre looking thing. That's not what these are. These are they just pop straight in. It was pretty an easy conversion. So there's the full EMG set there. So I'd say going to say humbucker, the heavy metal sound in the neck. And then in the bridge, I'll put the sort of vintagey one. And I'm putting both on and see what happens. Yeah, so I think that is a more useful thing, definitely more useful than that HF tilt thing, which I connected up and it was working. It just wasn't doing very much. It was like, it's awfully subtle, like a really, really subtle thing. Maybe if you've got an oscilloscope, well, I've got an oscilloscope, you could maybe tell it was doing something on an oscilloscope. But it's definitely more useful having the two switches doing that. Actually, to be honest, I wouldn't even bother. Although this has only got 3 knobs, I could have put the HF tilt on the tone knob and put a push-pull pot in there. To be honest, I wouldn't have said it was worth it. I'm quite interested. In fact, the thing is that if there was a much cheaper version of these that had all these options on it, I would possibly build a guitar. I had the 8 switches just out of curiosity to see what it's like having all of them. But I think once you get too many switches in a guitar, it gets silly. Not to me here who have intentionally put too many switches in a lot of guitars. I did sell them though, so I'm not stuck with a guitar that's got 10 switches in it. It's definitely when you're down here and you really notice the extra thick strings and the fact it's tuned down. It sounds down-tuned and baby metal-y. Fun. Yeah, so the model of this guitar and stuff will be in that video, which I put up there at the start of the video, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't let you do that more than once in a video, so it'll be at the start. I might be able to put it in a link at the end as well to hear what it sounded like when it had its original EMGs. If you're looking at the EMG set that the man might be selling or putting in something else, it wouldn't surprise me if I end up fitting it to one of his other guitars, but it's got all the stuff in here. So you get like 3 pots, or it's 4 pots. The Fishman came with 4 pots, you know, for like a Les Paul type thing, but this has only got 3. So it's a master tone rather than 2 tone controls basically. And so what did I say? It was an 89 and a 91, an 89, which I don't know whether that's a neck or not, and an 81 TW treble. 89. Yeah, it could be the bridge one. It's got the quick connecty pot things on the back, but you do still have to solder onto the actual push-pull pots what it is you're doing. Actually left, there's one wire that I left on the push-pull pots that I took out of this guitar, so this has got the new Fishman pots in it. It's still got the old original stereo output jack, so there's a brand new stereo output jack in there. There's no point swapping over, it works fine. And I left one, there's only one wire you have to solder on the push-pull pots, like an extra wire, like a looper wire, which I just left on because you can take it off if you're not want. No, you just leave it on. You just be putting it back on yourself anyway. I didn't see any point taking it off. And then basically you just got to connect the volume control, the 2 wires that come off the pickups, onto the volume pot, and then it's not all clicky connecty. It does on the pickup. So if you wanted to put in another Fishman pickup, like maybe a different model or something, it would just be a case of pulling off the connector thing, sticking the new connector thing on and done. But you do still have to attach onto the pots, which I think Gibson might do one which people don't like. They did it to make it cheaper, where you can. It actually does that. So you basically got here's your control panel, and you get like a printed board with pots that are actually welded onto it. Because I've my pal Jerry wanted a push-pull phase switch put into his Les Paul, and it was like there's like a metal PCB thing, and the pots were welded on, so I actually angle grinded it off so I could put in a push-pull pot. Either that, you have to take the whole thing out and replace all the pots, just to make it cheaper. Because obviously soldering's a skill, so if you're going to be building a guitar, you need a skilled person, which you have to pay more, who can solder to connect up the pickups. Whereas if you don't need a skilled person to take the thing and go stick a plug on. So I'm sure it's all been worked out with the bean counters. So I didn't think I would like this guitar, but I do actually quite like it. It's kind of it's a good guitar. It's not necessarily my style. Maybe I suppose it's sort of like a Les Paul, isn't it? In fact, is it actually a baritone? I'm actually sitting here wondering if is it not just the strings? It does look pretty long, doesn't it? It is. Okay, so it's a baritone. It's a 26-inch scale. Oh no, it's not. It's 25.5. So it's a Fender scale. So there you go. Which I'd imagine is probably which will be slightly better for having the lower tunings and the fatter strings than the Gibson scale, which would be 24 3/4 inches. Is 25.5. Rock on! Catch you later.